Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first ever Golden Eagle Sports Report sports panel. For those who don't know, on Golden Eagle Sports Report, we have a panel discussion for the last 10 minutes, but today we are debating sports for a full 30 minutes. Now tonight we have a packed discussion as we will be debating March Madness, Aaron Rodgers, and much more. So get ready, Marquette Nation, because the C-Bloc Special starts right now.
From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down.
Hello, everyone. I'm Adrian Fraga, and joining me tonight on the panel is Tommy Gilchrist and Jackson Gross. Glad to have you, gentlemen. So let's get right to it. So, the best time of the month continues this weekend as the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 are set to tip off in both NCAA tournaments. As for the men, Kansas State beat Michigan State in a thriller, and UConn dominated Arkansas to punch their tickets to the Elite 8. Out of the ones remaining, which team has the best chance to dominate and reach the Final Four, Tommy?
You know, I'm going to go with Kansas State. Noel and Keontae Johnson, they just look like a dynamic duo. That team is filled with chemistry, and that win, that was a great win. Tom Izzo, he's Mr. March for a reason. Michigan State is always a tough team to beat in March, and Kansas State, they showed up and showed out, and I got them going to the Final Four.
I just love the story with Keontae Johnson coming back from obviously that scary incident a few years ago with Florida to be one of the best players in college basketball. But I honestly think the team that's the best shot at getting to a Final Four is Big East rival UConn Huskies. I mean, they've just looked dominant pretty much this entire tournament. Obviously got that big win against Arkansas yesterday. So they're such a tough team, and they're showing that type of play they had when they went 14-0, a top 3 team in the country. So I think UConn's got the best shot to reach the Final Four.
Personally, UConn is the team that I think also has the best chance to make it. After all, they're ranked 3rd in adjusted offense per KenPom and also in defense, top 13. And they're just an overall great team in a very competitive conference. As we know, the Big East, it's our home. But that being said, out of Florida Atlantic and Princeton, which team do you think has the best Cinderella run?
Gosh.
Jackson?
I think the team with the best Cinderella so far has been Princeton, obviously 15 seed, taking down 2 seed Arizona, and then taking out Mizzou to get here. But I think the team with the best shot of moving on is Florida Atlantic. They look really good. I believe it was against Tennessee the other day, or they're playing Tennessee. I mean, they just look really good, and I think they have the best shot.
I gotta agree. I think Florida Atlantic, I mean, I think they're a much more talented team than Princeton. I think Princeton's run into a really tough matchup with Creighton. I don't know if they're gonna get past the Sweet 16, but hey, crazier things have happened. But I think I gotta go with Florida Atlantic making a better, farther run. But honestly, more impressive, I would have to say Princeton, a 15 seed getting to the Sweet 16 by itself, I think is more impressive than a 9 seed getting to a Sweet 16. I guess Elite 8 now, but. Yeah, I got to go with Florida Atlantic to make it farther.
So you're not a believer in the future politicians and accountants of the world to get even further into the tournament?
I am not. I saw that video of them doing their calculus homework. I think they're going to be a little too distracted to beat Creighton.
Oh, my gosh.
So obviously last night there was a huge Gonzaga victory over UCLA, who I had winning my bracket. Rest in peace. But anyways, was that like the craziest game scenario? Like the fact how Gonzaga won?
Yeah. Tommy, if you want to go for this one.
I mean, geez, I literally said, I was watching the game with my roommate, and when they were up by 8, I was thinking, I'm like, you know what, this game's in the bag. I'm like, I cannot believe. I got to check on my friend that goes to UCLA, see what he's thinking. But yeah, I guess they just have a flair for the dramatics because, god dang, they just looked insane. UCLA did, at least, in that run, and I thought they had it, but I mean, that shot, what's his name? I'm blanking. Strother?
something like that. I can't remember off the top of my
but
head.
that pull-up three, I mean, yeah, that's got to be one of the craziest games I've seen in March in a while.
Definitely a very ice in your veins kind of moment there. But moving on to the women's bracket, and so the Sweet 16 action kicks off tonight, where actually already beat number 4 seeded Villanova, but the reigning national champion South Carolina Gamecocks look to be the clear favorite to advance to Dallas for the Final Four. But which team is a lock for the last weekend in March? Jackson?
Man, I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough test for University of Miami in the next round because they're going to have to play the winner of LSU and Utah, which is going on as we're live right now. So that's going to be a tough test. I think obviously South Carolina is pretty much a lock for the Final Four. UConn obviously is a huge team every year in March. So I think those are like my two main picks for a Final Four.
I'm going to go with Iowa. And
Ooh.
one person, Caitlin Clark. I love me some Caitlin Clark.
It.
I think she's going to push this team to the Final Four and just dominate her way. And that team, I think, is going to carry themselves through the Final Four.
I'm personally from Miami, so I'm obviously rooting for Miami. Let's not get it twisted.
No bias
I'm
whatsoever.
definitely rooting for Miami. That being said, they definitely do have a really tough matchup coming up versus either LSU or Utah, as you mentioned. But that being said, Miami's not a sleeper team anymore. Like they're hot down the stretch. They're getting really good. They're playing gritty basketball. They almost blew the lead to Villanova, but they were able. I think the fact that they were ultimately able to put it away ultimately proves just how talented of a team they are and how well coached they are. So that's definitely a sneaky team. So, but in the women's side, who is the next team to get upset? Tommy?
Man, I don't know. I got to go with, if we're going, I guess, upsets, I'm going to say it's a 2-3, I guess. But I would say I got LSU taking out Utah in the game that's going on right now. That's who I have picked. I think that offensively, they're just one of the best offensive teams out there. And I think it's just going to be overwhelming for the Utah defense. But that's who I got getting upset.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. I think it's obviously not a major upset with a 3 over a 2 or anything like that, but yeah, I think that would be a big win for LSU. Obviously, just a really strong roster overall, and just a team that I'm really excited to see how they could progress in March.
It's definitely an interesting game. Obviously, not a big upset. Definitely a game to keep an eye on, though. Both teams are super competitive on the stretch, literally going on right now. So for that, we'll just have to wait and see. But bringing it back to the Big East, two schools are in the spotlight after infamous coach Rick Pitino signs with St. John's, and now former Providence head coach Ed Cooley signs with Georgetown. Out of the two hires in the Big East, which will make the bigger impact? Jackson?
I think that's a tough one. I think long-term it's going to be Ed Cooley at Georgetown. Georgetown has been easily the worst team in the Big East the past 2 years. I mean, they had that miracle run in the Big East tournament a few years ago before getting waxed by Colorado in the first round. But I think Ed Cooley brings a strong vision. He was able to build up Providence to winning the Big East tournament last season and winning the Big East. He's just a fantastic coach. I think he also just has a supreme love for Georgetown, which I think goes a long way. I mean, we see it a lot of times. Shaka Smart loves Marquette and the culture around it and the type of fans Marquette has. So I think you're going to see that maybe similar type of meshing between Ed Cooley and the Georgetown faithful.
You know, I'm going to have to go with immediate impact. I'm going with Rick Pitino, St. John's. That team is already talented. They were a tough team for a tough matchup for every team in the Big East this year. And I think a thing holding them back, honestly, was coaching, their schemes offensively and defensively. And Rick Pitino is known as one of the greatest defensive coaches out there in college basketball. And he is a tournament-tested coach. He's been there. He's seen everything. Say what you want about him, but he's a great coach. I think St. John's could be a really scary team to sneak up on people in the Big East next year, and who knows, maybe even make some noise in March. But I really like them, Rick Pitino to St. John's, for St. John's. I just think that's going to be a really big culture shock for St. John's.
I will definitely say that the Pitino hire is more of a win now approach for the quick easy solution opposed to Georgetown getting Ed Cooley, which is the more slow, gradual kind of build that culture back up.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that being said, since Cooley left from Providence to Georgetown, can he be considered a Big East trader?
I mean, it's the first time we've had like a coach move like within a conference, but I don't think he's a traitor. It's a business. I think I saw the Providence athletic director give a little presser today and saying like he felt betrayed by the Georgetown athletic director and all that kind of stuff. And it's a business, man. Like they're trying to get a leg up on each other and win. That's the whole point of sports in general, not just college basketball in the Division I level. So while it looks bad and Providence fans are going to boo the heck out of Ed Cooley his first trip back up to the AMP, but he's not a traitor. He wanted to change the scenery. He did probably as much as he wanted, maybe more to accomplish with Providence. So I don't think he's a traitor at all.
And what I will say is my first question was, why? Why are you going to Georgetown, man, there? But, yeah, I don't know about traitor, but definitely not the most loyal move he could have made, but it is a business. I guess he just really liked that contract he got.
I mean, it wasn't that much more than what he got from Providence. I think there's a few reports out that I think Providence was giving him $4.5 million. He got $5 million from Georgetown. So it's not that, reports, it's not that big of a difference.
So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for college basketball, but stay in your seats because coming up, we have the NBA.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Welcome back to the C-Bloc Special. We knew you all were waiting, so let's just dive right into it. So John Morant has been in the news a lot recently for brandishing a gun in Colorado nightclub on Instagram Live. Morant was suspended for 8 games because of this, but just made his return to the Grizzlies yesterday. The Grizzlies are second in the West, but with all of Ja's off-the-court drama, is he a liability, and should Memphis really be worried?
I mean, look, I'll give him not a pass, but let's see what happens here after like this situation. He said he's changed. He says he's a different person with all the counseling. That's nice, but actions speak more than words. If stuff like this continues, if I'm Memphis, I'm going to be a little worried about this. If down the road a year or year and a half, if he's still doing this, I'm worried. That's my franchise guy. This is the guy who I'm saying is representing. He's the face of my franchise, and I don't know if I want my face of the franchise out in nightclubs every night with bad influences. So I would be worried if I was Memphis if this continues. But he says the counseling changed him. I don't know. Actions speak louder than words.
Even though he's coming back and he went through all that rehab that he said and that I believe either the team or the league made him do, I think he's still going to be a liability because at least for the next couple of weeks while he's playing, there's going to be so many questions around this. And I just got to say, I hate like all the stuff he was doing. And it's like he was trying to act like something he wasn't, like that he grew up in more difficult circumstances and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like, dude, you went to a private school and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I understand, like, you think you have to be a certain type of way. Just be yourself, man. And he's, for the most part, he seems like a really good guy that just fell into some bad crowd of people. And he had a ton of enablers around him, like his dad and a few other people. The incident with, the laser pointer with the Pacers a while back. Like, he needs to surround himself with a lot better people to get focus on basketball. Yeah. Focus on what is making you that big contract you got from the Grizzlies and what made you the second overall pick just 4 seasons ago.
I will say, while the incident's definitely a very shaky one, like. But the question is asking for like impact, and you can't deny the impact that Ja Morant would have on the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are still a very good team. With Ja Morant, they're going to be very good down the stretch. Ja coming back, he came off the bench actually in his last game, where pretty good stat line this season. Ja's averaged 26.9 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 8.1 assists, all while being primarily efficient. He's obviously a good player, and the impact that he has on the court is. It speaks louder than words, but his actions off the court speak louder.
I mean, at the end of the day, teammate chemistry is a big deal, and I think, I mean, they've already had to change their process, and that they're leaving their hotels early and going back to Memphis. They're not staying on the road because they don't want their players in nightclubs. And when your leader of the team is going out and doing these things, that influences the young guys, that influences the entire team. And I don't know, I just think that is a liability for sure. And if this continues, couple of years, you might seen some trade requests or trade block rumors out there for Ja Morant.
I mean, he's still young. He's got plenty of time to keep maturing. I mean, he came into the NBA at what, 18 or 19 years old.
Super young.
He's got time to mature.
Exactly. He's still young, but with roughly 10 games left in the NBA season, there has been much speculation of who will take home the MVP. Among many NBA fans, Nikola Jokic has been the clear frontrunner for majority of the season, but up to the final stretch, Joel Embiid has made his name heard and has made a serious push for the MVP and shows no sign of slowing down. So right now, is MVP the clear frontrunner for MVP, Jackson?
No, it's neither of them. It's not Nikola Jokic. It's not Joel Embiid. It's not Jason Tatum. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, what he was able to do for this Bucks team with Chris Middleton still working his way back, Drew Holiday in and out of the lineup. I mean, the Bucks are just an absolute wagon right now. And this is someone as a Bulls fan who is saying this. Like, they went on that huge, I believe, 14 or 15 game win streak in the middle of the year, #1 seed in the East. I mean, Giannis, amazing stats as always, I believe averaging near a triple-double, at least averaging a double-double. Giannis is just on another level right now, and I'm not saying like no Jokic because of voter fatigue. I know that's a lot of people's excuse to not vote for Jokic, but I just think that Giannis has the stats and the overall record that usually go into winning MVP.
To say that voter fatigue is overblown is a lie. Voter fatigue is very real in the
I'm not
NBA.
saying it's overblown,
and
but
I think
that's
a
just my
huge reason why both Giannis and Jokic can't even be considered in the MVP. Jokic won two back-to-back.
Jokic is that guy.
Jokic is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but the Nuggets have not been the same team as they were down the last few games of the stretch. Meanwhile, the Sixers have been picking it up with Embiid leading the way.
They just lost the Bulls in double overtime at home.
Yeah, but Embiid.
And Embiid fouled out.
I'm sorry, I don't care about your Bulls. But the Sixers are getting hot. The Sixers they know what they're doing. And Embiid's
Are you sure with
charge.
Doc Rivers there? Do they really know what
Embiid's
they're
averaging
doing?
33.2 points per game, 10.2 rebounds per game, 4.5 assists per game. More efficient on offense than Jokic. May not get the assist, but he's definitely leading a more efficient offensive attack than Jokic is.
All right, well, hold on. You guys are both wrong, and that's okay. Like, that happens. It's all right. And I'll tell you why you're wrong. The answer is Nikola Jokic.
Can't even say his name
the
right.
Joker. He is the MVP of the league for not 1, not 2, but 3 years. 3 years. He is the MVP. And it's not because not only is he a force, he scores himself, but he is the catalyst for one of the best offenses in the league. He makes everybody around him better. He finds his guys open. He makes the right play every single time when he has the ball. He is the catalyst and dominant force for that team, and he has kept them in the 1 seed in the West, which I think is a better conference than the Eastern Conference.
No.
Well, how the West is stacked up right now, I think the West is a better conference than the Eastern Conference. He has kept them in the 1 seed. And I'm going with Jokic. He's the MVP. 3 years.
No, but hang on.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't there two sides to the game? Isn't there two sides to the game in basketball? Is there not two sides to the game in basketball?
That's a very good point.
And even though Jokic may have the defensive rating metric, but that's just because of the guys around him. Jokic is not a good defensive player.
Man.
Giannis is like the best two-way player in the league right now. No question about it. I love Embiid. He's great, but Giannis just has that next level and the resume on top of it.
Okay, the Bucks might have the best record in the NBA. That's true, but I really do think you need to keep in mind like voter fatigue. It's a thing. Like it's not something you can just pass on to the side, sweep under the rug. Like Embiid has never won an MVP. He's averaging a ton of points. He's leading one of the best offenses in the NBA in a very stacked conference. And the top of the conference, he might not be in the very top of the East, but I think he's doing better than Giannis. And quote me on that. He's going to win the MVP. I know I'm right. I'm sorry. But let's cool down. Let's calm down because the playoffs are almost here, and it has been quite a wild ride for fans to watch their favorite teams battle it out to earn that key playoff or play-in spot. There are key teams that are favorites to win, and others not so much. What teams stand out to you all as contenders or pretenders, Tommy?
All right, where's the camera? I want the camera. A contender, they're a contender. The Los Angeles Lakers are contenders for the NBA playoffs. They are. They have dogs. Their team is different than it was the first 50 games.
Don't walk off, Adrian.
Not only do they have dogs in D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Anthony Davis, Jared Vanderbilt is a dog, and then
That's
guess
how I know
what?
I can't take you
guess
seriously.
what? In another week, guess what? We're adding the greatest player of all time back onto the court.
I didn't know Michael Jordan came out of retirement.
Oh no, don't worry. He's the king. It's the king. The king's coming back.
God.
The Lakers. We're probably gonna get the 7th seed.
Did they hire you?
Yeah. I'm a advisor.
This is.
But we are probably gonna get the 7th spot, and they can compete with any team in a 4 to 7 game conference, in a 4 to 7 game series. I'm just saying, just watch out, man. The Lakers are contenders.
Have you been out in the California sun too much? I know it's hard to adjust back to the Midwest, but
spring break was pretty great. So
I will say, well, any team that has LeBron in the playoff spot has to automatically be considered a contender. That I don't think anyone can deny that. LeBron James is an for obvious reasons, an X factor when in the playoffs. But I really don't think the supporting team around him. It's not that it's not good enough. I just don't know if they mesh well enough.
it's not better than some of the other teams in the West.
I think other teams in the West. I think the Grizzlies. I think the Nuggets.
The Suns. KD's coming back.
Yeah, you want to talk about players coming back from injury? KD, the Suns will be huge. And you also can't forget about the Kings.
The Kings have no experience. The Kings. If the Lakers see the Kings in the playoffs, I'm gonna be licking my chops. We're winning 5. Lakers are winning 5 against the Kings.
Okay.
They don't have an answer for Anthony Davis.
Okay.
They wouldn't have an answer for LeBron James.
Light the beam for the Kings. But the drama in professional sports doesn't stop at the NBA. Will Aaron Rodgers make the Jets Super Bowl contenders? We'll dive in after the break.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Roll over. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique.
And your mother.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Every day,
millions of people are
connecting.
Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor. It's time we take a step forward, come together,
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Aaron Rodgers is a diva, but as of right now, he has not been traded. But after months of speculation, he has said his preferred destination is the New York Jets for whatever reason. Assuming that the quarterback is moved to New York, are they automatic Super Bowl contenders? Tommy, you want to start this one off?
The way I look at contenders is there's 2 levels of contenders. I'm going to talk about at least AFC contenders. My core contenders would be the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills. Those are the core contenders. I know it's basic, but that's the core contenders.
The Bills are going to fall off. I'm sorry, but continue.
Okay, then there's like the outer circle contenders, and that's they get hot at the right time. They can make a case. They have a case, and those teams like the Jets, Chargers, Broncos maybe with Sean Payton, and the Dolphins. Those are teams outside circle that could make a run. I know you're a Miami guy. But I think the Jets fit into the outer circle where if they get hot at the right time, maybe. But let's not act like Aaron Rodgers has 4 Super Bowls. He's only won 1 for a reason.
Yeah, I think the Jets are not a Super Bowl contender. I think they move themselves into high-tier, like, playoff contender. They're in a really tough division. Obviously, you got the Bills, you got the Dolphins, the Patriots, now that they actually have an offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Bill O'Brien as a GM, but as an offensive coach, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So that's a really tough division. I don't know if they're even going to win that division, but I think Aaron Rodgers makes the Jets a very scary team. That defense is really good. The receiving core, even with trading Elijah Moore to the Browns, they still have Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard. They just signed McCole Hardman from Kansas City. It's a pretty – they still have C.J. Uzama, who they signed last year. Tyler Conklin from the Vikings.
Corey Davis.
Let's not get crazy here. But, yeah, I think the Jets will have a really good season next year, maybe 10-7, 11-6, something along those lines.
Here's the way I see it as an AFC East fan. There is a legit chance that, if assuming the Jets obviously get Rodgers, that the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets can all win the division. Like, there's a very realistic chance that all happens. And here's the way I also look at it. The Jets were 7-10 last year, which isn't the best record, but I think the record doesn't speak as to how talented that team was.
They were also like 7-7 at one point.
Yeah,
or 7-6.
no.
I think they were like 7-5
they were
or
above
something like that.
500 at a
Good
point.
Team, yeah.
They were definitely a competitive team, and it was a big reason that was because of that defense, that young cornerback duo in DJ Reed, and of course Ahmad Gardner. And you can't forget about the D-line: Quinn Williams, Bryce Huff, Jermaine Johnson, Carl Lawson. I can keep go on and on about the talent they have on that defense, because it is for real. And when you add a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, like Aaron Rodgers into the mix.
Is he top 5 anymore?
Yes, he still is. He has the talent to be
I would
top
probably
5.
Like
No.
5-6 range, maybe.
Nope, that's
maybe
fair.
outside 5. But.
Aaron Rodgers, to me, is quite easily still a very talented top 5 running back. If you add a quarterback quarterback to that
I didn't know we were bringing Lamar Jackson into
I
this.
think it's pretty easily a Super Bowl contender just with that defense, and assuming the offense takes a step up. But in what could be more potential Jets news, Dallas Cowboys ex-star running back Ezekiel Elliott has been released. Elliott says that he's looking to join either the Eagles, Bengals, or previously mentioned the Jets. But which is the best fit? Jackson.
I got to say, as much as it would hurt a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans out there, I'm sure it would make our executive sports editor, John Liuzzi, happy to have Ezekiel Elliott on the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they just lost Miles Sanders to the Panthers. They have no other running backs outside of Boston Scott.
He's forgetting about Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny is statistically and historically one of the most efficient running backs ever.
Too bad he
That's
plays
a
like
real
3
thing.
games.
Look it up. It's true. I think
I didn't know you were this passionate about Rashad Penny.
is so underrated. He just can't stay healthy. I think if Rashad Penny stays healthy behind that O-line, which is undoubtedly top 3, I think this guy, that guy's gonna average like 8 yards a carry. He averaged like 7. It's ridiculous. This guy, he really is absurdly efficient with the ball in his hand, and he's an athletic freak. They don't need Ezekiel Elliott, but as for best fit, I do think the Eagles would be the best fit, because while Rashad Penny is more of that third down kind of back, he's more of the power back kind of role. The guy, the short yardage, gritty kind of yardage gain guy.
Yeah.
But it's. Don't disrespect. Do not slander.
Did Rashad Penny go to your high school? Where does Rashad Penny love coming from?
Okay, not Tommy.
You know, I mean, I'm a big Rashad Penny guy too. Roll Aztecs, but no, I think best fit for Zeke, I gotta go with either the Eagles or the Jets. I think both those teams could use a power rusher, and I think he could take like a Jamal Williams kind of role where he comes in, or Rashad Penny might get him down the field, or they might get down to the 3-yard line, and he comes in and just trots in for a touchdown. But I think that's where Zeke's at in his career, where he's gonna be like a power rusher kind of back, but that's what I got.
It's insane that like 5 or 6 years ago he was considered a top 3 running back in the league, and now we're talking him as like a Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is good, but he's just a goal line back.
This is why running backs, you don't use a top 5 pick on a running back and give them an absurdly fat contract, because they fall off and a team isn't centered. This isn't the 1950s. Teams aren't centered around running backs anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you for a great discussion, but that is unfortunately all the time that we have. But be sure to tune in this Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Golden Eagle Sports Report, and we hope to see you back for another C-Block special very soon.